Today, I want to give you a simple framework for starting to invest, especially if you're brand new and feel overwhelmed by all the options. If you've ever opened a brokerage app, seen hundreds of tickers, dozens of account types, and a wall of jargon, and just closed it and walked away, you're not alone. That's exactly the feeling I want to help you get past today. The good news is that investing does not have to be complicated. You do not need to be rich, you do not need to know everything, and you do not need to pick the next big stock to get started. What matters most is building a habit, staying consistent, and choosing a strategy that fits your goals and your risk tolerance. Some of the wealthiest long-term investors I've ever met didn't get there by being brilliant stock pickers. They got there by starting early, keeping it boring, and never stopping. Here's the simplest way to think about it. Before you invest, make sure your financial foundation is solid. Investing on a shaky foundation is like building a house on sand. The first storm undoes all your progress. First, take care of the basics. If you have high interest debt, like credit cards charging you 22 or 25%, that should usually be a priority. Think about it this way. Paying off a credit card at 24% is a guaranteed 24% return. The stock market has historically returned around 10% a year on average. So mathematically, knocking out that debt often beats anything you'd earn investing. It's also smart to have an emergency fund, usually 3 to 6 months of essential expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account, so you're not forced to sell investments when life happens. And life always happens. The car breaks down, the roof leaks, the job changes. Investing works best when the money you put in can stay invested for the long term, untouched. Second, define your goal. Ask yourself, what am I investing for? Maybe it's retirement, a down payment on a house, financial independence, paying for a kid's education, or just learning how to build wealth. Your goal helps determine how much risk you can take and how long your money should stay invested. Here's a quick way to think about it. If you need the money in the next 2 or 3 years, like a house down payment, that money probably shouldn't be in the stock market at all. A high-yield savings account or short-term treasuries make more sense. But if you're 30 years old investing for retirement at 65, you've got 35 years for that money to grow, and you can afford to ride out the bumps along the way. Short-term goals usually call for more conservative choices, while long-term goals can usually tolerate more market ups and downs. Third, choose the right account. This is where a lot of beginners get stuck, but it's simpler than it looks. If your job offers a 401k match, that is almost always the best place to start because it's essentially free money from your employer. If your company matches 100% of the first 4% you contribute and you don't take it, you're literally turning down a raise. So at minimum, contribute enough to get the full match. After that, an IRA, either traditional or Roth, is often the next step. A Roth IRA is especially popular for younger investors because you contribute after tax dollars now and your withdrawals in retirement are tax-free. If you've maxed those out or don't have access to them, a regular taxable brokerage account works just fine. The main idea is to use accounts that help your money grow efficiently and minimize what you give up to taxes along the way. Fourth, keep your investment choices simple. For most beginners, low-cost index funds or ETFs are a strong starting point because they give you diversification right away. Instead of trying to pick one winning company, you're buying a broad slice of the market. A simple example, instead of buying 5 random stocks because they're trending on social media, you could invest in a total stock market index fund or an S&P 500 index fund that holds hundreds of companies at once. That way, if one company struggles or even goes bankrupt, your entire portfolio does not depend on it. You also want to pay attention to expense ratios, the annual fee a fund charges. Many great index funds charge 0.03 to 0.10%. Some actively managed funds charge 1% or more. That difference sounds tiny, but over 30 years, a 1% fee can eat up hundreds of thousands of dollars of your returns. Keep costs low, keep it diversified, and you've already done more than most investors ever do. Fifth, decide how much to invest. Start with an amount that feels manageable. Even small amounts can matter if you stay consistent. You might begin with $25, $50, or $100 a month and increase it over time as your income grows. Here's the magic of compounding. If you invest $200 a month starting at age 25, assuming a 7% average annual return, you'd have roughly $480,000 by age 65. If you wait until 35 to start the same plan, you'd end up with about $225,000, same monthly contribution, less than half the result just because you started 10 years later. The best investment plan is one you can actually stick with. So don't try to be a hero in month 1 with a number you can't sustain. Sixth, automate everything you can. Set up automatic transfers from your checking account into your investment account every month, ideally right after payday. Automation removes emotion from the process, helps you stay disciplined, and turns investing into a habit instead of a decision you have to remake every month. This is one of the most underrated best practices in personal finance. When the market drops 10% and the news is screaming about a recession, automation keeps you buying. When the market is at all-time highs and everyone feels euphoric, automation keeps you buying then too. You stop trying to time the market and start participating in it. That's a huge edge. Seventh, think long-term. Investing is not about getting rich overnight. Markets go up and down, and that can feel uncomfortable, but short-term volatility is normal. The S&P 500 has had years where it dropped 30 or 40%, and it still produced strong long-term returns for investors who stayed in their seats. The investors who lose money are usually the ones who panic sell at the bottom and then wait too long to get back in. If you keep contributing regularly and avoid reacting to every headline, you give yourself a much better chance of building wealth over time. Turn off the financial news, ignore the hot takes, and let time do the heavy lifting. And finally, avoid the biggest beginner mistake, waiting for the perfect time. People tell themselves, I'll start when the market dips, or I'll start when I make more money, or I'll start when things calm down. There is rarely a perfect time, and the people who wait for it usually wait for years. What matters is getting started with a clear plan, a simple strategy, and patience. You can always learn more and adjust later, but you cannot benefit from time in the market if you never begin. So if you want the simplest version of this framework, here it is. 1. Get your finances in order. 2. Set a goal. 3. Choose the right account. 4. Invest in low-cost diversified funds. 5. Start with a manageable amount. 6. Automate contributions. 7. Stay consistent for the long run. That is the foundation. Not flashy, not complicated, but powerful. If you do those things well, you will already be ahead of most people who keep waiting to start. The best time to begin investing was yesterday. The second best time is today.